Hey guys, welcome into Faith in Football. This is Throttle Up Thursday. My name is Neil and I will be your host. Sorry it's been a while. We had a little technical difficulties that we finally got sorted out here. As I've said before, not really that technically advanced, so bear with me. Apologize, but we are here to get you guys throttled up for week 6. Now, this is a very important week, but before we get to the football side of it, we are going to, as always, put faith first. So, while we get into the faith, we're going to be looking at, let's see. Here we go. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5. Now, I'm reading out the King James Version, so for a lot of you that didn't grow up with the King James like I did, this might be a little harder. So if you need to go to the NLT or NIV, I understand, but I like the way that this one rolls a little better. And it's just something I grew up with, a verse that I've memorized. And depending upon what stage of life you're in, depending upon what season you're at, it can mean a bunch of different things, but we're going to break it down in a little different way today. So verse 5 of chapter 3 in Proverbs reads, "Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not into thine own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path." Now, a lot of times when you hear this, it's a trust in the Lord. It's, put your faith in your trust in him, which is great. And that's what we should be doing. But I want to take this a little different route. How many of us, and this is the question I'm asking today, is, are you still trying to get out of trouble by yourself? Like, are you in a tough spot? Are you going through a rough season of life where, you've reached the end of your rope, you're tired of trying, and every light that you see is an oncoming train? Everybody always says, well, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Well, that's great, but if that light is a train coming at you, it's not that good. Maybe, just maybe, we need to be looking at a different light. Maybe we're looking at the wrong one. Maybe the light that we're looking at is the light we want to look at, not the light we should be looking at. Maybe you're going through life and there's not enough money in your testimony. God wants to put a little more test in you. And you might be like, what are you talking about? Not enough money. Well, maybe you haven't gone through enough. Maybe what you're going through right now is building your testimony for the Lord. See, God doesn't like us to boast. He doesn't want us to think that we're the ones that pulled ourselves up by our bootstraps and we're the ones that got out there and did what we had to do and we buckled down and we were a man, or, we handled our business or anything like that. He will put us in situations where the only way that we can get out is by his mercy and grace. And until we realize that, we're going to keep going through those hard times. See, it's a lot easier when you humble yourself and you go, you know what, I need some help. And maybe it's not the Lord going, hey, come to me. Maybe it's the Lord saying, hey, let somebody help you. Because in my plan, this is what God's saying, that in his plan, you're meant to be blessed by someone. He's got someone lined up for you to help you out. He's got somebody that's got what you need. All you got to do is be humble enough to go, you know what? I need a hand. I need some help. Not too long ago, our lawnmower broke down and we didn't have money for a new one. But the grass is getting tall. I've always cut our own grass. And it might be a simple thing that might seem really easy to go, hey man, can I borrow your lawnmower? But I'm a proud person. It takes a little bit for me to go to somebody and go, hey man, I need a hand. Now, here's the thing is that God wants you in every aspect of your life, no matter how big or how small, to turn to him always. And maybe, just maybe, if you turn to him in the little things, the bigger things won't be that hard to overcome. I know it sounds ridiculous to a lot of people, but I do ask for prayer in fantasy football. Hey, Lord, hey, I just need this player to go off. I need this guy to not do that great because that's who I'm facing. When this matchup comes up, I need a little help here, Lord. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But when it doesn't, I always look at it as, okay, what's God trying to teach me? So when you get in those situations, when you are able to let God into the little things in our life, the bigger things hopefully won't seem that bad. And it'll seem a little easier for you to get into. But remember the verse, lean not unto your own understanding. Don't lean on yourself because you don't know everything. You don't know where you're supposed to be. You don't know what you're supposed to do. God does. And he wants us to go to him and go, okay, Lord, I'm here. I'm open. I'm going to walk forward in faith, in trust that you know what's best for me. So if we do that, then let's try that and let's just see how that works out. Because I'm pretty sure that a lot of you out there who are having a hard time have been trying to do it by yourself for a long time. Maybe it's time for a different way. It's time to look up. Maybe it's time to raise your hands and go, Lord, I need help. So I hope that was a little insightful. I hope it maybe shed a little different light on some areas that you might be going through. I do want to give a shout out to my boy Pez. Hey Pez, how's it going? He is a follower from way back. He's been following me since when I was the dean with the academy. I love having him here. He popped in on YouTube, asked me a question about a start set. So I'm hoping that it works out for him. Try to give you the best advice I can. If you would like some advice on a start set that I don't cover on this show, please down the bottom, subscribe, like, and share. Hit me up with your question. And if you're on Twitter, go ahead and start following me. You can follow me at Faith, the letter N, Football 1. So let's get into the football aspect of it. And remember, we can't forget our sponsors. No, Rain is not a sponsor, but I wouldn't mind. As always, I'm thinking Zia of Lafayette. They're on Ducey Road here in Lafayette. If you're in the Lafayette, Louisiana area, please stop by and see Zia of Lafayette. Not Zeus's, Zia, Z-E-A, Rotisserie Bar on Ducey Road. You can call them at 406-0013 if you want to place an order or find them on Waiter or DoorDash. If you want to go down and see them, they're in front of Red Laurel's or behind the Grand Theater off of Johnson Street. The food is phenomenal. If you like corn grits, you're going to love Zia. If you like rotisserie food, you're going to love the chicken. They got a Hawaiian chicken that's off the chain. We're doing a trout mock shoe right now. And the ribs, poof, boy, the Thai ribs are to die for. Trust me, you're going to slap somebody once you have these, okay? Also, the sweetest sponsor that I have is Keller's Bakery of Youngsville. You can find them at 627 Lafayette Street. You can also order through Facebook on their Facebook page. It's Keller's Bakery of Youngsville. Go down there and mention that you heard about them on Faith and Football. You get you 2 free mini cupcakes, any flavor you want. Please go down and see Dusty and tell him, hey, what's up? And sorry about the tough loss last week. What can I say? He went up against Jonathan Taylor and he got beat. He went in gangbusters, just crazy. He had Eckler and he had Herbert. And I know what you're thinking. How in the world did the guy lose? He faced Jonathan Taylor, had an outstanding game, plus a little bit of overtime. So he got a bad beat on that one, but he's still 4-1, still dominating in our league of record. But as you're about to find out, this week is where the real test starts. So Throttle Up Thursday. Look, we had a bunch of people go down to injury. Please make sure that you are checking those injury reports. CEH, he is dinged up. He's actually on IR right now. So you're looking at Damon Williams getting a very plus matchup with my boys, Washington, who went from a top 5 defense to a bottom 5 defense like that. Don't ask me how. I have no idea. I'm still trying to figure it out. Haven't thought about it yet, but that's what's happening. So if Damon Williams is still on your waiver wire, make sure you go pick him up because CEH is down for at least 3 weeks. So if you were leaning any kind of way on CEH, he's been having a really good run here last couple of games. Been doing very well. Not exactly what fantasy managers were hoping for, but not far off. Also, Kadarius Toney, breakout game last week. If you had him, like I did, you were very happy with the performance, but he does have a knee injury that he is dealing with. So keep an eye on his status. If he is good to go, he is a must start for this week because guess what, guys? We got the bye weeks coming up. That's right. The bye weeks are here. Week 6, you find the Falcons, the Saints, the Jets, and the Niners all on a bye. So if you were leaning on Debo, you need another option. If you were leaning on Alvin Kamara, sorry, you need somebody else. Cordell Patterson, you need some relief. If you were absolutely thrilled by Kyle Pitts last week, that's great. You need a different tight end. Matty Ice, if he was your streamer, guess what? We need to come up with another option because all those guys are just out for this week. Now, here's what I want you guys to remember is that you have to get ahead of your waiver wire, especially when it comes to the bye weeks, because next week, absolute killer. You're talking about the Bills, the Cowboys, the Jags, the Chargers, the Vikings, and the Steelers all on a bye. That's a lot of fantasy production out the window. So if you got Prescott, if you got Allen, if you're leaning on Herbert, if you're streaming Kirk Cousins, I don't know why you would be leaning on Big Ben, but he's going to be gone too. So anybody from those teams that you're leaning on for any kind of fantasy help, please take a look ahead, find out who's on your waiver wire. Maybe somebody's on a bye this week. Maybe you can go out and trade for somebody who's maybe a little lower tier, but someone who's willing to get rid of them. If you've got a good record, and we're going to show you ahead of time, I'm going to do a little reveal here with Dusty's team and then Daniel's team. Those are 2 extreme here in my league of record. And we're going to show you the difference between being flexible with a good record and being desperate with a bad one. Okay. So injuries, Galladay still dinged up, Shepard, and this is all the Giants. Shepard, I always forget the other one. Slayton, Darius Slayton. All those guys are dinged up. Daniel Jones, concussion protocol. Saquon Barkley, gone. He's not coming back anytime soon. Well, I say anytime soon. I'm saying this week he's not going to be back. So you're going to need a backup for that. Now, here's the thing. If you have a good record, if you're sitting at 4-1, if you're sitting at 3-2, and you want to make a move, if you can afford it, go after Saquon now. Look, I went after him after week 2, going into week 3. Weeks 3 and 4, over 20 points in fantasy. Look, he blew up. He went back to his old self. Then he had a fluke injury, and he was down. I'm losing him for a couple of weeks, but listen, it's not a big deal. And if you have a good record, you can survive this, okay? Now, on the other side of that, if you're the Saquon owner and you want to get rid of this headache, okay, the value on this is not that good. He's injured. You're not going to get as much as you could have maybe last week for him, okay? And 2 different pieces of advice. One, if you want to hold on to him, great, fine. There are some platforms that allow, and also it depends on how your IR is set up. Our IR and our league of record is that if a player is out, he can go on IR. Other platforms, other leagues have it to where only an IR designation is allowed on the injured reserve for your league. Check it out, find out what it is, make the adjustment, okay? If you only need a couple of weeks, find yourself a good couple of streamers and go ahead. But if you are tired of dealing with the Saquon headache, bite the bullet, get someone who is steady, productive, has a good floor. And when I say a good floor, I mean like a good base production. Make sure you do your homework though. On Sleeper, if you're not on Sleeper, I don't know what you're doing, but look, check it out. On Sleeper, they give you a snap percentage. As a matter of fact, let's go to Sleeper right now. No, they're not a sponsor, but I'm telling you right now, I've yet in all of my years of playing fantasy seen a better platform than this. Now, this is my team right here that we're looking at. I'm just going to pull up. And let's pull up Gibson. Okay, so. Okay, I don't know why that's not going. Oh, there we go. Okay, we'll pull up Robert Woods. Sorry. So here's the one thing that I really like about Sleeper. And a lot of this has to do with more running backs than it does wide receivers. But if you're looking to stream a wide receiver, this is something you want to pay attention to. Actually, I'll tell you what. Let me do this because I actually used this before I made the deal for Saquon. Okay, so here's what I did before I went and made the deal is I looked at his snap percentage. Okay. Week 1, he wasn't that involved. He only had 48% of the snaps. That means that 52% went somewhere else. Okay. Only had 3.7 points, 10 attempts, 26 yards. Not really a good deal. Okay. Only had 3 targets, 1 reception for 1 yard. Not really a good performance. Okay. Week 2 against a very plus matchup with Washington. Okay. Projected to do 12.78 points, actually got 8.9. But what I want you guys to look at is right here. 84% snap count. What did that tell me? That told me that the team was easing him back in. He felt good and that there was more good things to come. That the performance that I saw on the field was simply a warm-up. Okay. So I went to the manager, offered him 2 for 1, mid-level guys. Now, one wound up to be Gaskin and one was Marvin Jones. I wasn't using either one of them. Now, do I regret the Gaskin trade? Not really, because I've got good running backs already. So I'm cool. I'm good with that. Plus, I got a ton of depth at wide receiver were in a full PPR, and I didn't trust two. Now, look at this, 86, 89, and the correlating points plus the number of attempts. Then he got the touchdown work, got a touchdown here when he hit the 28 mark. Now, this is where he hurt himself. He's going to be out for a couple of weeks. But here's the thing. He's going to miss the Rams. He's going to miss Carolina. Two defenses that I really don't want to face anyway. Then he comes back, presumably, for KC in week 8. Then week 9, he gets Vegas. As long as they don't put him on IR, it's all good. Week 10 bye, comes back against Tampa Bay that you really can't run on, but you can throw because he gets used in the passing game as well. And also, their wide receivers have been hurt all year long. So, if you are the Saquon owner, hold on to him if you want, but make sure that you get somebody streamable to fill in for him, okay? There's a couple of guys that you could probably get out there. D. Williams might still be on your waiver wire. Check him out. You always want to make sure that you check the waiver wire after waivers clear as well, because here's the thing. When you add somebody, you got to drop somebody. Somebody's desperate. Somebody's going to give up on someone, and you might just be able to be lucky and get somebody who you can use, okay? Whenever you do trades, there was a trade that was done in our league of record. Let's show you real quick. You see over here in the chat, there was a trade completed between Big Dan and Jay Jacobs. Now, Jacobs just happens to be my son, my oldest. He picked up Travis Kelce, gave up Brandon Cooks and Matt Ryan. Why? Because Big Dan here, Daniel, my boy Big D, my boy D Money, he is hurting at wide receiver and he's hurting at quarterback. Now, let's go down here and we'll take a look at his team, okay? So, Big D's team, he's got Big Ben, he's got Rojo, he's got Josh Jacobs, he's got Godwin and Hollywood Brown. So he's fine there, but he needed an extra somebody. Robbie Anderson is not the guy, and I'm pretty sure that he hasn't really set his lineup right now. But I'm pretty sure that Brandon Cooks is going to find his way in. Now, if you look at his lineup here, he's got Alex Collins. He's going to be playing Pittsburgh, that you really don't want to play that matchup. Mike Davis is on a bye, but he did pick up, he's got Tyler Heineke, who he is probably going to play against KC, because remember, when you have a matchup where you're facing a prolific offense and the team that your offensive guy is on has a really bad defense, that's a recipe for fantasy gold. That means that the other team is going to have, that your team is going to have to throw in. If you have a wide receiver, if you have a quarterback, or if you have a pass catching running back, you definitely want a piece of that action, okay? Now, if we look over on this other side, here's the issue that's going to be troubling Jacobs, okay? Is Mark Andrews, who just went off, or Travis Kelce. Now, you might be thinking, man, how in the world did he get two tight ends, the number one, number two tight end in fantasy right now? Here's the thing, though. You can only play one. Unless you are in a league that allows you to flex the tight end position, you're out of luck. You can only pick one. So it's basically guessing work on who's going to go off more. Now, can both of them be league week winners for you? Yes. The only problem is they can also They can also torpedo your team and sink it if you're relying on that. So when you're making trades, try to make it harder on the other guy to make decisions week to week. So if you're giving them a good guy and you're getting, something, 2 guys in return, make sure those 2 guys have a good steady floor, like Cooks does, like Matt Ryan does. Okay. If they do, cool. You've done your part. Okay. So let's get in real quick, and we're going to burn through these. I'm going to give you guys 2 notable stashes real quick. Jeff Wilson, yes, he's not going to be back until probably mid-November, but here's the thing. That's when your playoffs start. If you got an IR spot that's available, go stash him on your roster. Why? He is the San Francisco running back that they trust. They don't trust anyone else right now. Nobody has stepped up. They don't trust Trey Sermon. Elijah Mitchell's had issues. There's nobody else. They were signing everybody off the street. But Jeff Wilson, remember last year, same situation came up. Who did they lean on? Jeff Wilson. End of the year, he had an absolutely crazy run of points. Loved him, loved having him, helped you win leagues in some instances, all right? Also, here's a tip. Find the top-ranked running back if you don't have them. So we're talking Cooks, McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara. Who's their backup? Is their backup capable of continuing the greatness after they're gone? Madison, if you've had Madison and you are the Dalvin Cook owner, you are loving life right now because Alexander Madison has been absolutely phenomenal for production while Dalvin Cook has been out. Okay. If you are the CMC owner and you had Chuba Hubbard, then you're good to go too because he's been productive as well. Not as productive as McCaffrey, but who is? This guy I'm going to tell you about. Not a lot of people are going to be on him, and not a lot of people are going to have room to stash him. But if you do, Jeremy McNichols, the Tennessee running back, is a backup for Derrick Henry. Now, has Derrick Henry been hurt before? Maybe a little dinged up, but he's not prone to missing time. However, if he is, you want to get out ahead. So here's the tip. Saturday or early Sunday morning, before the games get going, go drop somebody that hasn't been producing for you, pick up Jeremy McNichols in advance of the Tennessee game. Hold on to him, see what happens for Derrick Henry. If you want to drop him later, you can drop him later. Nobody's going to pick him up. Okay? But every Sunday before the Tennessee game, pick up Jeremy McNichols and stash him. Wait until the games are over and see what's going on. If Derrick Henry does get hurt, you've already got his backup. You don't have to wait for the waivers to clear. You don't have to risk not having this guy on your team ahead of the rest of the league. Just a little something, a little veteran move to help you guys in a very desperate time for running backs. So, who are we starting? Who are we sitting? Running backs, quarterbacks, wide receivers, tight ends. Starts. We're looking at Jalen Hurts versus Tampa Bay. Now, why? Because you can throw on Tampa. This is going to be a crazy game. Yes, I have Tom Brady as a set, but the reason being is because if this gets out of hand, and it gets out of hand early, they're going to lean on the run game. Okay? Tom has a thumb issue. Keep an eye on it. It's the early game. It's the Thursday night game. So we're talking tomorrow night. He hasn't had a full week to recover. So the thumb could still be giving him issues. So if it still gives him issues, what are they going to do? Dink and dunk passes? Maybe. But they also have Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones. They've got a whole slew of guys in the backfield to take care of this. Plus, Everybody knows they love handoffs to AB. Run AB around the end, use his speed to get by people. Okay. They will find a way to take the weight off of Brady against a Philly defense that isn't all that great. So, if this turns out to be, I don't know, I guess a one-sided game for Tampa Bay, Jalen Hurts is going to have to throw, is going to have to run, and is going to have to score some points. Next up, Taylor Heineke. Yes, I said Taylor Heineke. No, it's not a homer pick. I know it might sound like it, but look at the boy's stats. Look, this guy has done nothing but be productive. They might not be winning, but trust me, he's being productive for fantasy, okay? If you don't believe me, I got Sleeper on my phone here too. So when I tell you that I play on Sleeper, you guys saw it. I get all my updates, and I get updates quicker on this thing than I do anywhere else. ESPN doesn't even come out with stuff this quick. So let's see. Pull up Heineke here. Oh. Didn't do my filter. It's coming, guys. Give me 1 second. Here we go. Okay, Tyler Heineke is the number 17 quarterback right now. So with the exception of week 1 and last week, he's done 24, 25, 33. Not bad for a streamer, okay? Every single game that he has played, with the exception of the first one and the second one, he scored 3 touchdowns in every game. In the one game that he didn't throw 3 touchdowns, he scored 2 touchdowns in one and then 3 touchdowns in the other 2. And when he didn't throw one, he ran in for one, okay? Going up against a KC team that is absolutely putrid in the secondary. Yes, Tyrann Mathieu is probably going to be covering Terry McLaurin, but as we've seen, Heineke can get it to other people, plus the fact I think they can pretty much figure out how to get the ball to the number 1 wideout, okay? Myles Gaskin versus Jacksonville. Look, this might be a letdown game, but I doubt it going up against this opponent, okay? There could be a chance that Tua comes back. If not, they're going to be leaning all kinds of heavy on Gaskin, okay? I mentioned this other guy earlier, Damian Williams going up against Washington. This is a must start. They're going to be a slew of points in this game. Washington is not what they were last year on defense. Again, don't ask me why. I don't know. So if you've got D. Williams, if you went out and picked him up, if you were the CEH owner, or you're not the CEH owner and you're just hurting at running back right now, congratulations. You got a really good matchup. Next up, Emmanuel Sanders at wide receiver going up against Tennessee. Look, you know that they're going to be honing in on Diggs. So Emmanuel Sanders is definitely a must start against a really bad secondary in Tennessee. Next up, Chase Claypool. Yes, I said it. Chase Claypool. I know he's let you down, before. He's been kind of hit and miss last year, but going up against Seattle, plus the fact that Juju is down again, possibly out for the season, you definitely want Claypool in your lineup. Now, what about tight end? What if you don't have one of the big guys? What if you got, I don't know, TJ Hawkinson, and he's dinged up and you're worried about starting him? No problem. Mike Gesicki got you covered against Jacksonville. So, with wide receivers that are looking at possibly a third string quarterback right now, look, I could go down and play quarterback for Miami. I'm pretty sure they'd let me in. Okay. Mike Gesicki, big target, and as always, is a security blanket for any quarterback in any situation. Okay. Now, I mentioned that Tom Brady was a sit for me, and I mentioned the reason why. Thumb injury on his throwing hand. Short week. He's a little older, so he takes a little more time to heal. Now, could I be wrong and he absolutely torched Philly for 5 touchdowns and 400 yards? Yes, he could. So, if you want to take the advice on this one, I totally understand and no, I'm not offended by it. Now, next up, Joe Burrow. What? Isn't Burrow playing Detroit? Yes, he is. But I'm telling you right now, Detroit's defense is better than what the record is. Okay. Plus the fact that this could probably wind up being a Joe Mixon day. So that's why I've got him, and I got a warning label on Tyler Boyd and Jamar Chase. So take that for what it's worth. Next up at running back, we're looking at Josh Jacobs versus Denver. Look, I don't want any part of this. I'm good. I haven't trusted Jacobs. I just don't like the matchup. Okay. Kareem Hunt versus the Cardinals. What? Wait a minute. Didn't Kareem Hunt do really good? Yes. But I don't see this being a shootout like it was with the Chargers. Can they put up a lot of points? Yes. But I think that Cleveland defense kind of got a little embarrassed, and they're probably going to be looking for a little bit of revenge against the Cardinals, who are the only undefeated team, and they would love to play spoiler on this perfect season right now. Next up, wide receiver DJ Moore versus Minnesota. Look, I get it. Everybody loves a good story, but DJ Moore going up against Minnesota, look, this could turn in, if Dalvin Cook's back, the Dalvin Cook show. We all know what that looks like. Doesn't leave a whole lot of room. And I'm really not sure about Sam Darnold anymore. I liked him before, and I liked him and Robbie Anderson. But we see how that's worked out. Yes, DJ Moore is becoming his favorite target, but has Sam Darnold reverted to his Adam Gase days, or was that just a hiccup last week? I don't know, but if I got other options, I'm definitely turning that way. Tyler Locket. This is kind of self-explanatory. Look, he just lost Russell Wilson. Geno Smith ain't Russell Wilson, and he can't hit him on the deep ball, which is what Tyler Locket does best. Now, DK Metcalf, I'm not worried about, simply because the man's huge. There's no way he's not getting the ball. Tyler Lockett, on the other hand, not so much. He's going to need that accuracy that Russell Wilson brings, plus the mind meld that he has with Wilson, he does not have with Geno Smith. So, Geno, I loved you. I loved you when you came out. I really wanted to see you succeed. Good luck this week. But I'm telling you, I'm not looking for Tyler Lockett anytime soon. Tight end that I'm setting this week, TJ Hawkinson. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, when I do these start sets, I look at the top performers that I think are going to kind of do a little backpedal, maybe let you down, try to warn you off, maybe make that surprise start, with a streamer or somebody that's been secondary on your bench. Not saying that he's going to have a bad week, but defenses have been teeing off on him quite a bit. So if you got TJ Hawkinson, he is dinged up, and they have been coming after him hard. So if you got another option, definitely go after it. So we went over the stats, went over the start sets. Remember your bye weeks: Falcons, Saints, Jets, Niners this week. And please don't forget next week. Please look ahead and see the matchups that you have. Take the initiative and go look ahead. Trust me, Nobody else in your league is doing this. So take a second, go look, see who's on the waiver wire this week that could be useful next week. Remember, next week 7, Bills, Cowboys, Jags, Chargers, Vikes, and the Steelers all on a bye. That's going to be rough. Make sure you tune in. We're going to help you out here. And remember, always put your faith first. Football's great, but God's always better. Guys, until next time, my name's Neil. This has been Faith in Football. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Faith, the letter N, Football 1. We'll see you guys later. Please drop your comments and your questions down below. We'll see you next time on Faith in Football.